Hello everyone, my name is Drago. Today we have another Rise of Kingdoms video for you. I'm hoping that you enjoyed the latest series, Invading 412's Starting Zone. I've been having a blast doing those videos for you, but today we're going to be talking about the new infantry commanders that were officially released on the Rise of Kingdoms official YouTube channel, where they highlighted all of the skills. And I know you guys come here a lot for infantry advice and guides and tips. I went through the skills. I've gone through each one. We're going to go through what both of these commanders are going to do for you on the field. Let's jump into it. First off, we have Tariq ibn Ziyad. He is going to be the Infantry Conquest Defense Commander. Now, I'm not a huge fan of defense being your rallying skill, so he may be a secondary commander in my opinion. When you're talking about rallying, there are some skills in here that are very nice for the open field, including swarming, which is obviously a big part of the game now, especially considering the new crystal technology improving swarm damage. That being said, let's go through Tariq and let's go and see each one of these skills, and then I'll give you some advice on what I think he's going to be best used for, best used with as far as other commander pairings, and we'll go through that. So first off, Victory or Death is primary skill, 2500 damage factor on the button there. The skill deals additional direct damage to the target, 300 times the number of surrounding enemies, capped at 900. So if you're in a rally and you are being swarmed, which is a lot of times the case, you'll be able to do an additional 900 damage factor if you're getting swarmed by 3 targets or more, which most people will have targeting your rally. So not a big deal there. So we have the potential to have a 3400 damage factor nuke going off whenever his primary skill goes off, which is best in the game, biggest in the game. There's nothing bigger. And again, it's 1,000 rage requirement. So there's no additional wait time to have that go off. Now, Bane of the Visigoths is the second skill here for Tariq. And again, I think that there's some things to point out here. First off, 40% attack bonus, very strong for infantry commanders. You want to have a lot of attack as well as defense and health when you're talking about rallying with infantry commanders. That's why their set is heavy on attack, because it wants to balance out all the stats. That being said, the thing I want to really point out on this one is the fact that it's got an infantry damage versus cavalry increase of 10%. Traditionally, with all rally commanders or really any kind of garrison rally situation, it's a 5% increase. You look at Jadwiga, you look at Constantine, those types of commanders, 5% increase bonus to those types of troop types. This one's got 10s. So this is a little bit of an uptick. And again, we're starting to see the next generation of commanders, starting with Nevsky all the way until now. Everything is given a boost when we're talking about what you're going to be bringing to the field. So again, from a rally standpoint, this is something to note. Also, increase to march speed outside Alliance territory. You see that with some of the commanders that are coming out. And again, it's going to be for open field decent, but again, for rally, speed at which the rally gets there, 10% increase isn't going to really make that big of a difference, but it's something. It's not nothing to sneeze at. Now, here's the third skill, Gate Crasher. Now, again, something to keep in mind before we go into the stats from this. It says when attacking cities or strongholds. Usually, there's 2 mechanisms inside of these wordings that tell you how they trigger. When it says when attacking cities or stronghold, read bay bars. When you're attacking a city or any kind of a structure, this will apply, is what that means. So whether you're in a rally, whether you're open field march, it doesn't matter, it will trigger. There's other commanders like Nebu, like other, rally commanders. Pakal, I think, has specific wording when rallying a structure or when rallying a city or stronghold, or only when rallying a city. There's other options there too. They only apply when you're actually rallying a target. So something to keep in mind. Maybe this will not come through the way that it's currently worded. Again, this is released on the official Rise of Kingdoms channel, but again, there's always, room for, tinkering, and they sometimes can do some switcheroos with some wording before the official release inside the game itself. But right now, this will apply for a march or a rally. You're talking about increasing your defense by 30%. That's very strong. And each normal attack has a 30% chance to reduce the target's attack by 30% for 3 seconds. That's pretty darn strong. Now, as I say that, it says targets attack by 30%, but on the skill description preview on the bottom here, it says normal attack damage reduced. We need to get some clarification on if it's going to be regular attack that's being reduced by 30%, or if it's going to be normal attack reduced by 30%. That's a big, big difference, especially when you're talking about being in a rally versus garrison situation. That white number coming from the garrison, a 30% damage reduction for normal attack for 3 seconds, that is huge, and it can trigger once every 8 seconds. That's basically a 25% uptime, roughly a 20 to 25% uptime. That's very strong and can really make a big difference in a rally versus garrison situation. So we're going to need to get some clarification on if it's attack or normal attack. Either way, it's still a good, strong debuff, but attack will apply to both skill damage and the white number, but not nearly as significantly to the white number, whereas the normal attack damage reduction is huge, which impacts the white number from a normal attack and a counterattack standpoint, will not affect the skill damage. All right, we also have the fourth skill here. Troops led by this commander deal 15% increased damage. That's all damage bonus. That's increased skill damage, normal attack, counterattack, all of it. You also have a 10% chance to reduce the target's rage by 80 for 3 seconds. 80 is an odd number here. I would think 100 or 150 or 50 times 3 for 3 seconds, like that kind of thing. I've not seen specifically 80 generally, at least for the earlier commanders. Lately, they've been adding in numbers like this, which tells me that they're really starting to understand the rage mechanic a little bit better inside of their own game. But this effect can also trigger once every 8 seconds. So really, you have an 80 rage reduction every skill cycle roughly, and then a 15% all damage bonus all the time. That's a strong fourth skill. Finally, we have the expertise. This is what's buffing the primary skill. Originally, the primary skill is a 2200 factor damage factor skill with a 300 damage factor for when you get surrounded, when you get swarmed. This buffs it to 2500 and up to 900 when you're swarmed by up to 3 targets plus. So again, it's an augmentation expertise. It's not a new skill or an extra skill to bring to the table. After going through all those skills, what do we think, right? So I think that this is definitely going to be an upgrade for what we have now from a damage standpoint. Right now, Pakal Herald is still the tried and true rally combo for Rise of Kingdoms. Once we introduce Tariq into the fold, I think that he can be used in a rally situation with Pakal. I like the fact that you can use Pakal and Tariq together, and you can have some damage and some tankiness, and you're going to get the shields from Pakal, and you're going to get the damage from Tariq, and you're going to get the attack bonuses from Tariq. There is some defense bonuses from Tariq, and you don't have the negative defense reduction that Herald brings to the table when you pair Herald. So I think that overall, Tariq will be a better version of Pakal Herald. Maybe not necessarily the counterattack bonus, but if you're losing some of the counterattack, maybe you're going to be more likely to get swarmed by a Pakal Tariq or a Tariq Pakal, and then you'll get the bonus damage from the primary skill as well. Now, open field wise, I think Scipio's a great option, Guan's a great option, Pakal would still be a great option, Herald's a great option. Those are all going to be just fine, and you can maybe start to bring some of those other commanders that are infantry based back into the fold and start to pair it with Tariq here. But overall, I mean, just a general summary of my feeling on this commander, a little underwhelming. I like the damage factor itself. It's a large number, but it is contingent on getting swarmed, which if you're getting swarmed and you're sitting still, you're dying. So at the end of the day, unless it's a rally and you're getting really good reinforcements, you're going to die. So that 900 extra damage factor, while it does sound really nice, at the end of the day, if you're getting swarmed, you're going to go from 100% to 50% on the field very, very quickly. And that 900 damage factor doesn't really have the same punch that you would normally think it would have because you're half health and you're not putting out as much damage from a red number standpoint. Same thing with a white number standpoint. Overall, though, good defense. It's a balanced commander. So good defense, good attack, good skill damage, good bonus damages. And again, if you're swarming a target in KBK, whether it's a city or whether it is a structure, you're going to get some extra damage bonuses as well, especially if they have a cavalry garrison commander too. All right, let's talk about Sargon the Great. And wow, what a mallet mace kind of deal thing he's got going on. Like, imagine he hits somebody with that and that eagle just imprint on their face. Anyway, again, I'm going to give my opinion on this guy. I'm going to do some pairing conversations, how you should use him, if you should use him, and maybe some comparisons to what we already have. And again, an overall kind of summary on what I think about him. So first skill we have for the next 5 seconds, normal attacks have a 100% chance to deal direct damage to the target 500 per second. So that's a 2500 damage factor skill. It's over the course of 5 seconds. That means that latent power will apply to this. Any kind of bonuses to continuous skill damage or additional damage factor will apply to Sargon. There's some pluses and minuses to this, okay? So when you're on the open field, you want burst damage, right? Like that's kind of a thing. When you're talking about trying to eliminate a target, you're gonna the more quickly you can bring damage to a target, the more quickly it's gonna die, the less it can do to you from a negative standpoint. That being said, there's a positive to stretching skill damage over time. At least there's a possible positive, and that's that there are so many skill damage bonuses that are being flung out there from Tamiris, from Boudica Prime, and just in general, you have skill damage taken increases just getting thrown out. And then again, Sargon also does that as well as we get into the other skills. I'll show you what I'm talking about, but he does this as well. So having the damage over time allows you to basically account for the fact that maybe you're not, when you're casting that primary skill, maybe that target doesn't have the maximum skill damage taken reduction, but whenever you have it going over 5 seconds, maybe 3 of those 5 ticks will have a 70% skill damage taken reduction or 70% skill damage taken increase on the target. Whereas before, if you only had all the skill damage happening on second 1, maybe it wouldn't have gotten any skill damage taken increase. So something to think about whenever you're talking about using him. Yes, there's some bonuses, but yes, there's also some downsides too, like we just talked about. Second skill here, infantry led by the commander gains 10% increased attack, which is a little underwhelming for me, but 20% increased health is very, very nice. When attacking, and it just says when attacking, so you just got to be attacking something, this commander's troop has a 100% chance to inflict a stack of odd effect on the target troop, which increases skill damage taken by the target by 3% for 10 seconds. Now, again, this is basically the infantry version of Tamiris, and again, I want to say it should stack. It depends on how it is actually added into the buff report or the debuff report. If it's slotted as just saying skill damage taken decrease, it may not stack. We're going to have to do some testing, but I think at the end of the day, this should stack. And if nothing else, it should extend the duration of the debuff, whether it's from Tamiris, whether it's from Sargon, etc. Now, again, this is an odd effect. So it's like the poison dots from Tamiris, but it's called odd effect for Sargon. It's the same mechanic though. Every time you hit a target, you'll inflict the target with a 3% skill damage taken debuff for 10 seconds, and that will basically refresh until you get to 10 stacks. Now, the third skill, Conqueror of Sumer, we have infantry units led by this commander gain 15% increased march speed. Again, very helpful for the open field. They also deal 10% more damage when attacking troops, which again, open field, you're doing that. Normal attacks have a 10% chance as well to increase all damage dealt by this commander's troop by 30% for 3 seconds. Yes, you heard that right. Yes, you have a 10% chance, which means it's going to proc off every 5 to 8 seconds. I know there's a trigger effect of 8 seconds here on the actual skill, but it will proc off every 8 seconds for the most part. Very, very frequent that the 10% skills proc off in this game. And again, it's a 30% damage boost for your march. Okay, so if you have this in a rally situation and say you have Tariq with Sargon, the damage that you're going to pump out if it pops at the right time is absolutely massive, massive, massive. And with the debuffs that I'm getting too much into the pairings already, but this is a good skill, a very good skill. Third skill. All right, fourth skill. This is where the second skill comes into play as well. So this increases the defense of the march by 10% in the field, which again will apply during a rally. This does apply for rallies and for open field march. When a target troop has received 10 stacks of the odd effect, which we get from the second skill, all stacks will be removed, and the target will be dealt 1,000 damage factor of skill damage. In addition, this commander's troop will receive a shield that lasts for 5 seconds, damage factor 300, which is not that great. It's kind of irrelevant, but it's there. There's a shield. Something to think about. And finally, we have the expertise. And this is a new skill. It does not augment any of the other 4 skills that we talked about. Reduces the skill damage taken by this commander's troop by 15% when their troop is hit with a normal attack. So every second, basically, it has a 50% chance to inflict 2 stacks of the odd effect on an enemy target. If this skill is triggered when this commander's troop gains a shield, it will inflict an extra 1 stack, so 3 stacks. This skill can be triggered once every 8 seconds. This expertise is, I believe, it's basically meant to make him like a skill damage machine gun. So you already have skill damage from the first skill, 500 over 5 seconds. totaling 2,500, yes, but it's over 5 seconds. But then you're having this odd effect going off every second and always going towards that stack of 10 where it basically explodes and goes off for 1,000 skill damage as well. So this can literally have a 500, 500, 500, 500, 500, and then during that 500, 1,000 skill damage burst, and then at the end, 3 seconds later, this is going to cast again, and then another 1,000 skill damage burst. It's meant to be very Herald-like because of the mechanism of the primary skill, as well as the odd effect. And of course, during the whole thing, because the odd effect not only does the skill damage, it also does the skill damage taken increase to the target. So all this skill damage is happening all the time while having skill damage taken increase debuff on your target. This is a great kind of combination of skills when we're talking about bringing him to the field, and certainly as well, in my opinion, in a rally. I think this will definitely work out really well. What's the best way to use him, right? I think that definitely, again, he can be used on the open field. All the usual suspects, your Guans, your Scipio Primes, Alex, Harold. Pakal could even be used in a little bit of a certain circumstance. You could even use CJ with him, and I think that would be just fine as well. But again, I think he can be used in a rally, and I do believe Sargon with Tariq will be a good rally. I think that these two commanders are made for each other. I think they're going to be paired together, and they will be a new form of infantry rally. But keep in mind, I don't think they're going to be quite as tanky as Pakal and Harold are. So if you're rallying into a field that you don't own, they may get swarmed down. And again, that's why I think that Tariq has that first primary skill where you get a damage bonus to your target by getting surrounded. They want you to swarm him, which again can be pluses and minuses. If you can reinforce it, it's great, but if not, it's going to go down very quickly. Very similar to your Nevsky Joan rallies that are currently out right now, very similar to your Henry Boudica rallies that are out right now, Gilga Henry rallies that are out right now. They can get swarmed down very, very quickly if you don't own the open field. So I think that ultimately this is the infantry version of what Henry Boudica or Gilga Henry is, or Nevsky Joan is supposed to be, right? So I think that's what this is what the infantry version of that is. I still think that Harold and Pakal have a place. Again, if you're rallying into a field that you don't own and it's very heavy with your enemy, you're not going to be able to reinforce it very quickly, or you don't want them to swarm the rally. That's still going to be the meta, I think. But this will be a very good other option for if you are dominating the battlefield and you do want to cause maximum dead on your target. Right now, Jan Ziska and Jadwiga are very, very strong garrison commander pair that you can use on the field right now. And with these commanders coming out, I think this will help counterbalance those so that you have to do a little bit more switching around if you're the defense and you don't just go Jadwiga YSS and go all in and be like just fine, or Jan Ziska YSS and be just fine. I think you're going to have to understand that if you have infantry rallies coming in, you might want to switch over and go to the archer garrison, or you might want to go to a cav garrison, so, or infantry garrison. So that's my breakdown of these. I think overall, though, when we saw Joan and Nevsky and Boudica Prime to a certain extent, Henry to a certain extent, when we saw them come out, I think everybody kind of got the excitement of, oh, these guys are going to be game changers, right? Like, these are game changing commanders. I'm not necessarily getting that from these. And again, that's generally been the case with all infantry commanders in this game, with the exception of really Guan, in my opinion. Guan's really been the only commander infantry-wise after, Alex and Richard, back in the day, where I'm not really excited. Like, these guys are not really that exciting to me. They don't do anything super special. Obviously, they do things that no other infantry commander really has been able to do before, but there's nothing really that's screaming to me like, oh my God, these are must have. You gotta have. They will be strong. If you do get them, you will have an advantage, but it's not like it's not Joan, right? It's not Joan where she's pumping out tons of skill damage on the first skill damage cycle. It's not Nevsky where he's usable in every facet of the game. He's usable in garrison. He's usable in open field. He's usable in route. That's not what these commanders are. And we've been getting that quite often for Cav. And to a certain extent, some archers are that way. I mean, Nebu's a must-have, right? You don't really get that with infantry commanders, and this is two more commanders for infantry that are kind of like, yeah, they're good, but they're not like blowing my mind. So just something to think about. That's my thoughts on the subject. And again, I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. I'll see you guys next time. Cheers. Have a good one. Take care.